Let's think for a moment about a group of people who have lived chained up since they were born, always with their backs to the only light there is. For these people, the shadows they see moving before them are not an illusion, no. They are the only truth they know. It all begins here, in the depths of the cave. But be careful, because this is not just a physical place, it is above all a mental state, a brutal metaphor for the ignorance in which, according to Plato, we can be living without even realizing it. The scene is devastating. Since they were children, they have been tied up by their feet and necks, immobile. They can only look straight ahead, at the wall in front of them. Behind them there is a fire and people carrying all kinds of objects walk down a corridor. What is the only thing the prisoners perceive? Well, the shadows of those figures and the echo of voices. For them there is no debate. Those shadows are not a reflection, they are things. It is their reality, the only one that exists. But what would happen if one of them were freed? This is where things get interesting and the allegory becomes a kind of adventure, a journey of liberation that is as painful as it is ultimately necessary. Remember that liberation is not a moment of joy and celebration, it is a trauma, a real shock. When they release him and force him to turn around, the light from the fire destroys his eyes. The real objects he sees for the first time seem less real to him than the shadows he was used to. And things get worse when he is dragged uphill out of the cave. The sunlight is so intense that it blinds him. The truth hurts a lot at first. The adaptation has to be gradual. No one can look at the sun of truth all at once. First, his eyes have to get used to the shadows outside, to the reflections in the water. Little by little, he is able to look at objects directly. Later, at night, he can look at the stars and the moon. And only at the end, after a long time, is he able to look directly at the sun and understand that it is the cause of everything he sees, of the seasons, of life, the source of all truth. The story of the prisoner is fascinating, yes, but it is only the beginning. It is a giant metaphor. Now that we have left the cave, so to speak, it is time to decipher the philosophical map that Plato left us. Here lies the key to all of Plato's thought, his idea of the two worlds. The cave represents the sensible world, the world that we touch and see, the world of appearances, the world of shadows. Here we can only have opinions, what Plato called doxa, and the clear exterior is the intelligible world, the world of perfect and immutable ideas. That is where the truth with a capital T is and where true knowledge, episteme, is achieved. For Plato, if this is fundamental, education does not consist of putting data into an empty head as if it were a hard drive. No, it is the art of reorienting the soul. It is literally turning the person around completely so that they stop looking at the shadows on the wall and start looking towards the light, towards the truth. But the story does not end with the freed prisoner enjoying the sun, does it? Because full of compassion for his former companions, he feels that he has to return. And this return to darkness is surely the most tragic part and the one that tells us the most about the entire allegory. Returning to the cave has an unexpected consequence. The one who has seen the light suddenly becomes blind in the darkness. Normal, his eyes, now accustomed to the sun, can't distinguish shadows very well. He becomes clumsy, awkward. He no longer knows how to play guessing the silhouettes. That game he used to be an expert at. His companions don't understand that his clumsiness is temporary. For them, it's proof that going outside is bad, that it ruins you. So they laugh at him, they take him for a fool. His conclusion is clear, it's not worth going out. And Plato adds a final, very dark warning, and he was probably thinking of his teacher Socrates. If the freed man tried to free them and force them out into the light, they would be capable of killing. All this was written 2,400 years ago, but come on, it could be a perfect description of our world today. The caves have changed, of course, they're digital now, but the machinery of illusion is exactly the same. Today the chains aren't made of iron, they're digital, invisible. They're the algorithms that teach us only what we want to see, creating echo chambers that do nothing but reinforce what we already think. These are the information bubbles that keep us very comfortable in a tailor-made reality, surrounded by shadows that prove us right. Ignorance has never been so comfortable or personalized. This phrase that Plato puts in the mouth of the freed prisoner sums it all up. Once you have seen the truth, once you have experienced the sun, the comfortable life inside the cave, being the champion of guessing shadows, loses all its value. It is better to live a humble life in the truth than to be the king in a world of appearances. And with this we come to the end. Plato's allegory is not a simple philosophical theory, it is a very personal and direct invitation to look inward. It forces us to ask ourselves a fundamental and sometimes very uncomfortable question. What are the walls of my own cave? And what shadows that I have taken for granted all my life are preventing me from seeing the light. That clearing is a journey that each of us must undertake.